Today's video is sponsored by Native Sons Goods, makers of the best woven guitar, bag, and camera straps on planet Earth. And now the best is even better with a new line of hand-woven Maya Serape straps with USA organic herringbone hemp backing. Get 10% off when you use the link in the description, and remember, when you support my sponsor, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it.
Hey y'all, it's a shitpost weekend on Channel 2.
But yeah, speaking of Dean guitars and lawsuits, I thought this was interesting as well. Buddy Blaze, who was the guy who he was requisitioned to custom design and create Dimebag Darrell's ML guitar back in 1985, the one with all the lightning bolts on it. He is suing Dean once again. He actually sued him a couple years back. He had sued him and it was dismissed. He's appealing that, apparently. He's actually claiming a copyright infringement and not a trademark infringement. The copyright is for the painting that was on the ML guitar that Dimebag used, that has been reissued now for years by Dean Guitars since about, what, 2006, since his death. But he says, you know, the reason that he didn't sue back in 2005, shortly after Dimebag's death, is because he thought that Pantera's fans and Dimebag Darrell's fans would, you know, kind of go after him. And he may be right about that. I mean, it probably wouldn't look good on him to sue Dean Guitars. And a lot of people in the comments on this are sort of mistakenly saying that he's suing the family. I don't think his lawsuit is against the family. His lawsuit is against Dean Guitars. Of course, Dean has an agreement with the family, presumably, to keep reissuing these guitars. You know, Buddy Blaze is not suing the family, at least not from what I'm reading here. So I don't know where some of these comments are coming from that I'm reading on this, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting that this lawsuit has been reintroduced in a higher court, and we'll just have to see where that goes. Also, in the past couple weeks, Fender has announced an ownership change. So essentially, Servco and TGP Growth, they've been longtime owners of Fender. They're some of the original investors after the CBS era. But yeah, I don't see this changing anything really fundamentally about Fender. I mean, a lot of people were kind of like, oh, this is big news, but it's really not that big of news at the end of the day, because it's just not going to change anything. It's probably not going to change anything about the day-to-day operations or the decision-making at Fender. I'm sure it's going to be very similar to what it would have been otherwise. In other news, I thought this was very interesting. This article talks about Nik Huber Guitars and its partnership with amorphous metal specialists Heraeus AMLOY, Heraeus AMLOY, to start 3D printing amorphous metal parts. More specifically, they're kind of focusing on this 3D printed bridge that is being made for this guitar that Nik Huber was building. But the thing about amorphous metals is that they maintain their atomic structural properties that are more akin to glass and are particularly elastic, enabling efficient transmission of vibrations. So it's kind of different than kind of, you know, sort of a cast part. So who knows, maybe this will become something in the future that will be commonplace. 3D printed amorphous metal parts. Interesting article. I encourage you guys to definitely check this out, because it goes on for a little bit, talking about the process, talking about the potential benefits of such parts, their acoustic properties and so forth. So definitely interesting. One of the things that really caught my attention was the fact that this 3D printed bridge is actually printed in such a way that it has a lot of holes and honeycomb in it. What that's going to do is essentially lessen the mass and make it more easy for energy transmission, for vibration to occur. It's probably true, because if you think about it, you know, a hollow body guitar resonates more readily than a solid body guitar when strummed acoustically. So it makes perfect sense that that would be the case with bridge parts and the like as well. So who knows, maybe they'll also print a nut which will be honeycombed in the same sort of way. to transmit those vibrations into the neck. Who knows? Maybe even the neck will end up being honeycombed in the same way. I mean, you know, why stop there? Really interesting. You know, one thing that the last couple years has taught me is that, you know, there's no shortage of ideas for how to improve the instruments. But like I said, you know, there's a lot going on in the realm of electric guitars, but it would really be nice to see some of this stuff, some of this research and development being focused onto acoustic guitars. I know there are also a lot of companies doing stuff with acoustics, but it would just be, you know, it'd be nice to see a little bit more of it, a little bit more of a balance. But speaking of innovations on guitar, I thought this was kind of interesting. Now, you know, a lot of the instruments that we see online on YouTube videos and so forth that have been created by strange materials, things like Legos, have really focused on the body of the instrument and sometimes even the headstock of the instrument, but never really so much the necks. That's why this was interesting to me, because this guy actually took a regular classical acoustic guitar and with his son developed a Lego block fret scheme that allows him to move Lego pieces around, or 3D printed pieces that are custom printed, wherever he wants them. So he can even make the guitar into a microtonal guitar, and he can change it at his own whim. So he can put frets wherever he wants on the thing. And it shows him, if you watch the video, it shows him, you know, teaching his son scales, and he can actually, you know, take the Lego pieces off and put them exactly where he wants. And when he's teaching his son, you know, okay, here's a major scale, here's the interval between the second and the third, but in a minor scale, here's the interval between the second and the third.
Then I started to teach him the scales and realized that this design can be used to teach music theory on the guitar fretboard easily. I took off all the frets and just attached 5 frets for a C major scale.
And then here's a microtonal variation.
Then I showed the microtones location that's used on bağlama for playing the piece.
You know, like a Balian microtonal scale, you know, and he's teaching his son all this stuff using these Lego pieces that he's placing in different parts of the fretboard. And I thought it was really interesting because it seemed like the kind of thing that you could possibly even retrofit on a guitar, or at the very least, you could design a guitar that could have this neck that would allow you to do this on. So, you know, it just seemed like there are a lot of possibilities with it, that it was really cool. It even sounded really nice to me. Yeah, again, no shortage of ideas. All right, also in what might be the biggest news in the rock and roll world, the Rolling Stones is announcing a 2020 North American tour, and it's actually going to stop in my town of Louisville. Probably won't go unless somebody gives me a free ticket, but you know, it would, maybe I'll go stand outside and like interview some people or something for the channel. Wouldn't that be cool? But anyway, yeah, you can go on to, of course, probably Ticketmaster or wherever you buy your tickets and see all of the dates. But it looks like they're going a lot of cities. They're going to Nashville, Minneapolis, Austin, Dallas, Louisville, Detroit, Cleveland, Pennsylvania, St. Louis. They'll be all over the place. So yeah, so that's definitely big news in the rock and roll world. Also, to round out the news, I thought I would share this one. This is a Jimi Hendrix guitar and a Dali painting stolen by accused serial burglars in Hillsboro, Pasco. Where the hell is this? Is this Florida man again? It is. It is. It's Florida again. What's up? What is going on in Florida? But in this case, it's a conspiracy. There's like 5 Florida men and 1 Florida woman. Is it just a den of lawlessness down there in Florida? I thought it was all retired people that had been, you know, transplants from other places. I didn't realize it was such a den of reprobates. Law enforcement agencies from 2 counties announced Tuesday the arrest of 6 people accused of burglarizing 24 homes since last spring. According to the sheriff, The investigation began when detectives noticed similarities between burglaries.
Yeah, Mark, there were about 24 burglaries, and the majority of them, 15 of them, happened right here in this South Tampa neighborhood. And in all of these cases, between Tampa, Hillsborough County, and Pasco County, these thieves preyed on hardworking people while they were at work.
This is a major ring.
High-end jewelry, watches, cash, even a guitar signed by Jimi Hendrix, and a Salvador Dali painting. For some thieves, this might be an impressive haul of stolen goods, but detectives say for these criminals,
this criminal enterprise involved these 6 individuals.
this barely scratches the surface. Late last year, Pasco detectives released this video of the suspects committing a burglary on Thanksgiving. All told, they got away with well over $1 million in belongings. And in one of the cases in Pasco County, these thieves are accused of taking about $900,000 in memorabilia, and we mentioned some of them, the Jimi Hendrix signed guitars, some of the Beatles memorabilia, things of that nature. And the Tampa cases saw a total of about $500,000 in belongings that were stolen.
The burglars would arrive in a white van dressed as construction or utility workers. They would break in through, I feel like I've seen this movie. They would break in through the rear of a home, either through windows or sliding glass doors. Detectives with the Tampa police soon realized they had similar crimes in their areas and teamed up to investigate. They were just going where they thought they'd get the biggest bang for their buck. So I guess they were going to ritzy homes, most likely. $1 million properties. So the thieves mostly targeted high-end jewelry, but one of the victims in Pasco County had $900,000 in memorabilia stolen, including a signed Jimi Hendrix guitar and a Salvador Dali painting. Oh, I was trying to read this. I was trying to read the signature on this particular guitar because I was thinking, I was like, there's no way that's a Jimi Hendrix signature because that guitar is too new. But I was looking at it. It looks like George Martin. I think that's what it says. I think it's George Martin signature on that one. All right, that will do it for the news. All right, guys, I've had some viewer mail from a couple weeks back that I actually filmed and did not include yet in a Shitpost Friday, so I will show you that. Okay, so I had the one package this week, and this is from Eric Pemberton of Enterprise, Alabama. And there goes Mojo Jojo. And back. Okay, so a letter here. It says, "Hey dude, you've likely forgotten me, but I emailed you a few months ago about sending you some tubes. Later the following year, here they are. Sorry for the delay. They were in a storage unit across town, and I finally took some of my holiday time and cleaned the mother out." It says, "I enjoy your channel and wanted to contribute a little something and thought of you when I saw these. Thanks for the cool YouTube content. I like the repair stuff and Shitpost Friday as well." And Eric says he is Angry Red Banjo on YouTube. So if you guys want to go check out Eric at Angry Red Banjo, maybe give him a like or two on some of his videos, subscribe to his channel. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. But he's got a list here apparently where he's listed off all the tubes. That's pretty helpful. I guess he was going to sell them at one time and was looking up retail prices on some of these. Oh wow, that's cool. That's really cool. What is this? Essential characteristics. Receiving and special purpose and 5-star tubes, picture tubes, and capacitors. Very cool. I actually own that box right there. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, that's sweet, dude. Yeah, definitely cool. Hang on, let's see. Let's get you a little closer so you can see what's going on. Okay, so yeah, this is when GE was in Owensboro, Kentucky. This was actually written in Owensboro. Copyright 1962. That's pretty cool. Really cool, in fact, man. Thank you for that. That's great. So it's got all these tube characteristics. It's a tube manual. But I've never had a GE tube manual before. I've only ever had the RCA version. But this is going to have a lot of the same information, but it may have some information that's slightly different, perhaps, on some GE tubes as opposed to other makes. I wonder if it's got any more like stuff like the RCA manual has, like a bunch of what's this? Essential characteristics, especially prepared for. Provide the technician a single source. I'm trying to read it through the thing, through the. If you want to slow that down and read that, you can. So yeah, we've got some explanations of terms and things like that, it looks like. And again, we have receiving tubes, and it said, you know, we also have some capacitors stuff in here as well. Picture tubes too. Yeah, yep, there's some picture tube information back here. It also said there should be some typical circuits. Yeah. A couple schematics in the back here, so that's kind of cool too. 20-watt preamp and amplifier there. And they would all put stuff like this in their manuals because, you know, they want, obviously they want people to buy more tubes, and if you provide them with some schematics that they can learn with and build to, then they're, you know, obviously they're going to sell a few more tubes. So this one might be cool. A stereo amplifier with 7189s. That, I bet that's a pretty rockin' little power amp. So yeah, man, totally cool. That, I mean, that alone is really awesome. Thank you very much for sending that along. And especially the fact that, you know, I mean, that's from, Owensboro is probably about 45 minutes to an hour from where I grew up. It's right down in western Kentucky. And so yeah, very cool. It's actually, Owensboro is the home of the International Bluegrass Music Museum. And it was also the home, or near the home, birthplace of Bill Monroe. So cool little town, Owensboro. If you guys are ever in the area, definitely check out Owensboro, Kentucky, and check out the Bluegrass Museum. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. I actually called a guy who was he's basically the keeper of all of the history on the GE factory that's left in Owensboro there, and you know, we had talked about for a long time me going down there and filming some stuff, and I need to get back in touch with him and actually follow through on that and do it, because that would make a really cool video. I think I would really enjoy it. He said there is a whole closet full of documentation and history on the old Kenrad/GE factory in Owensboro, Kentucky, and he's one of the former people who worked there. So he worked there for years and years, and I just think it would be really cool to get in touch with him and make that trip one of these days. So it's definitely on my agenda, but it's one of those things that, you know, it keeps kind of getting pushed back because it would require me to you know, do some traveling. So, ooh, that's a nice tube. Look at that, just first one I picked out. 6SN7, and it is a Telefunken 6SN7. That's a cool tube. So yeah, man, I'll definitely go through these, and any of the ones I can use for sure, I will definitely put in my boxes, and yeah, well, I'm sure we'll find a use for a lot of these. Thanks very much, man. I really appreciate this. It's very nice of you, very generous. I know what shipping costs these days, and for somebody to ship me something like this, that's just really, that's sweet, super sweet, man. I enjoy that. I really appreciate it, and thank you very much. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed this Shitpost Friday. If you have, hit subscribe down below, and for now, we'll see y'all later.